Back in the 90s, the console wars between Nintendo and Sega were being waged in playgrounds up and down the land. I came from a mostly Sega family, so we had the Master System, Mega Drive, and Game Gear growing up. I did, however, have a Game Boy, and although I had friends who owned the NES and SNES, the Game Boy was often the place where I was first introduced to Nintendo's characters in a meaningful way. One of those characters was actually Mario. I'd played the first 3 Super Mario games on the NES at friends' houses, but I'd never had a decent amount of time to really get to grips with the series. That all changed when I got my Game Boy and Super Mario Land. So, let's dust off that cart and check out Super Mario Land. As one of the Game Boy's launch titles, Super Mario Land brought everyone's favourite plumber out of the living room, mixing the Mario you knew with all new levels and gameplay styles. When I received this game, alongside Tetris, I absolutely fell in love with it. Working up a sweat in Tetris, then popping this cart in for some relaxing platforming, made for top-notch gaming. Let's take a look at how Super Mario Land plays with the Mario formula. First up is the control of Mario himself. Having played many of the Mario games now, I can feel the subtle changes in how he controls in Mario Land. If you hold the B button to run, Mario sort of lurches forward to get up to speed, which can really catch you out when platforming. It's hard to explain, but Mario just controls a little differently in this game. I didn't realise this back in the day, and I think it's fine, as you adjust quite quickly when playing the game. Next up, it's the story and setting. Now, Mario games aren't really known for their layered stories, but for its time, Mario Land hosts some quite unique elements. We're not in the Mushroom Kingdom in this game, but Sarasa Land, and Bowser is not the antagonist this time around. Instead, we're facing the evil alien Tatanga. It wouldn't be a Mario game without a captive princess, and Mario Land introduces us to Daisy, who has now become quite a mainstay in the series. So we're already in unknown territory, quite literally. Sarasa Land is made up of 4 kingdoms, each containing 3 stages: Birabuto, Muda, Eastern, and Chai. In an unusual move for the series, these are all based on real-world locations: Egypt, Bermuda, Easter Island, and China. There are lots of details in the stages to represent their influences, such as hieroglyphs, Moai statues, and pyramids. The enemies are also different from the usual Mario fare. We've got Goombas and Koopa Troopers. They have different names in the manual, but we all know what they are. And then we have all manner of bizarre bad guys like Daddy Longlegs, Living Sphinx, Fish Skeletons, and my personal favourite, Rock Guy. Even the enemies that we know sometimes behave differently. Take the Koopa Troopers. Try to pick up one of their shells and you're likely to get yourself blown up. The levels themselves also play with the rules. The end of each stage has a small platforming challenge. Completing this and exiting via the upper door will take you to the bonus stage, which can reward you with up to 3 extra lives. One of the biggest departures in Super Mario Land are the shoot-'em-up levels. There are 2 of these. One sees Mario take control of Marine Pop, a submarine, and in the other he pilots Sky Pop, an airplane. These levels are a lot of fun to play, provide a welcome change of pace to the platforming. You're pretty overpowered in these vehicles, so they're just an excuse to mow down countless sea and air critters. The final change I'm going to cover is actually the most jarring for the player when swapping between the mainline Mario games and Super Mario Land. At least it was for me, and that's the Fire Flower. If you didn't read the manual, you would expect this power-up to bounce along the floor until it collides with an enemy. However, this isn't the Fire Flower, it's the Superball. These projectiles bounce off surfaces at 90-degree angles. This is very useful for hitting airborne enemies or for collecting out-of-reach coins, which is a fun mechanic. The downside being the initial throw is very shallow, meaning you need to be extremely close to your target in order to hit them. It definitely takes some time to retrain your mind to this new behaviour. So those are the main differences between the handheld and console games. What made me love this game so much? First thing was the presentation. I love the graphical design of Mario Land, stripping back the sprites of Mario and his enemies to their monochrome basics. Even without colour, the familiar characters are easily recognisable. Mario has a surprising number of frames to his animation, and everything is really clean. I like the variety in the stage designs. They could have used simple hills or abstract shapes for the backgrounds, but each kingdom, and each level within it, has thoughtful elements that make them more memorable. If you've watched my other videos, you'll know that I'm a fan of video game music, Super Mario Land is probably the first gaming soundtrack that really got its claws into me. The main theme is so catchy and perfectly encapsulates the game, a light, breezy Mario adventure. Each kingdom has its own theme, as well as an additional song for the shoot-'em-up stages. They're all great, but I wanted to give the ending theme a mention as it's fantastic. Also, in what other game can you gain invulnerability whilst listening to the can-can? The sound effects are quite true to the mainline Mario games, except for some of the enemies, who make hilarious noises when you hit them. Probably the most memorable part of Mario Land are the Princess Daisy fake-outs. After defeating the boss in each kingdom, you'll rescue Princess Daisy, only for the princess to morph into an enemy and bound away, a tiny cutscene that never fails to raise a smile. The only negative part of the game is the relative shortness of the adventure. It can be completed in an hour and, with the surplus of coins and bonus stages, you'll have more than enough lives to breeze through it. This isn't really a complaint though, as this was a game for playing on the go, long before save states and quick resume were the norm. Something I only learned whilst putting this video together is the game actually has a hard mode, which can be accessed by restarting the game straight after completing it. You'll see that the title screen cursor changes to a Mario head, meaning hard mode is active. This difficulty adds different enemies to the stages, and more of them, than the normal mode. I definitely recommend playing through Super Mario Land, especially if you're a fan of Mario or Game Boy platformers. It's simple, fun, and adds some interesting quirks to the Mario formula. I think it's a must-play for the Game Boy. Do you have fond memories of Super Mario Land? Or do you think they went too far with some of the deviations from the Mario rulebook? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching.